Hey guys, it's Will. Hopefully you're having a great day today. In this video, we're going to be going over Rigetti stock and what's big moves that you want to pay attention to if you're trying to stay up to date with the quantum space. This is one of the biggest things that we look at. How many of these companies are going to experience consistent growth? And Rigetti stock has been. In fact, today we traded it at market open live in our Stockmate session. We were just a tiny bit late to the session and getting in at what was, it says 8:45. That's not right. So we bought here on the dip. We waited patiently and it dipped down to here and we sized up and bought more Rigetti stock. And then you can see that it was recovering throughout the day and we're up about $118 on this position. Now, throughout some of our positions over here, we got, what do we got going on here? Nvidia's up 3%. Some other things, Microsoft is up. So we have our portfolio up about 1.2% so far today. So we're in the green. Nice Monday to start this second week in February. Yesterday, we covered top quantum stocks. It sounds like there is a stealth bomber that just flew over my house. Anyway, I almost want to go look outside. Guys, we've seen crazy stuff. We see Starlink satellites launch over here. So cool, though. We saw a stealth bomber. We've seen stealth bombers. I live in the place that's kind of on a trajectory from... Yeah, that was scary noise, right?
It
From
wasn't a normal one. Sorry.
it wasn't a normal.
It's not
It
like
was
a, it feels like a more like built airplane than like just a trip,
yeah, it
like
was probably a stealth bomber or something else.
something like that.
Yeah, I've seen them. Um, and in the events that they launch Starlink satellites, it's at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, and a lot of times they'll come over. We'll see the trajectory of the Starlink satellites, and also right here, there's Beale Air Force Base, which is I think it's about an hour away, and sometimes we get some big airplanes coming over, and I think is it who was it? Chuck Yeager, one of the most famous and well decorated pilots in history, lives like 15 minutes from here, and I don't know. That's a cool fact. Anyway, in the event that Rigetti stock continues up, we're seeing it get rejected from this 200-day moving average. You guys could see this green line. It was acting as a resistance here at $13.60 and then acting as resistance here at $13. We're still in the position. Average purchase price about 30 cents, a little more than 30 cents less than what it's currently at. So it's a nice trade so far today. We could see these levels of resistance. There's this level right here. It's previous support. So we could potentially, I'm anticipating it's going to shoot up here to $13. The original plan in our trade this morning was that we were getting in here at 1240, and we were hoping and expecting it to push up to about 1280, and it's at 1280 right now. We're kind of monitoring the position, and if it breaks up above this 200-day moving average, potentially the next level for it to shoot up to would be that $14.50 range. But again, we have a plan going into it. I'm not encouraging you to buy or do exactly what I do or anything like that. One of the reasons we're looking at Rigetti stock is because it was on a surge from $1 just back in November, end of November, up to $21 into January. It was a huge surge. That is, basically, what is that, 15x? And then you see a little bit less than 15x. Yeah, no, 15x, just about. And then it sold off with Jensen comments. We've had two big sell-offs that were artificial. One of them was these comments from Jensen CEO saying that quantum computing is further away, 10, 15 years, which is kind of ironic because when you go into Rigetti stock, this is where it gets interesting, is that one of the biggest investors in Rigetti is Nvidia. You can see Rigetti stock has been affected by comments, but also Nvidia invests in Rigetti stock. So that's interesting to see. On top of that, so you can see a lot of headlines around the quantum plunge, basically after those comments. But it's interesting that you have that going on, especially when you look at Rigetti stock's investors. You have how do I find it? Maybe institutional ownership, I think it is. Just go directly to NASDAQ here. You can see some of the outstanding shares, but also you see BlackRock, one of the big purchasers here, especially purchasing right before the end of the year. They're holding a very large position, okay, of about $150 million. Is that right? And then you got Vanguard, you have State Street, Charles Schwab, and then one of the other ones was um, you have BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, Charles Schwab. There's another really notable one. Oh, J.P. Morgan. Yeah, Morgan Stanley. You got Morgan Stanley, and you got Goldman Sachs. So we got big institutions really looking at this company and investing in them. Barclays as well. Citibank is invested as well. And these all kind of happening towards the end of this last year. So that is something to consider. It's down from all-time highs, $21 down to $14. It's at this support that we bought today. And this was an artificial sell-off. This was the Fed. This was an artificial sell-off. This was those comments from Jensen. Outside of those movements, there was, a tremendous trend upward like this. And we're not seeing the exact same trajectory, but we started to see the same trajectory after the recovery. And now it's been consolidating. And this this trend here, if you basically what you'd say is, let's take a look at this trend, discount some of this as an overreaction, maybe count in this even though it was a little artificial, and then bring it down to the rest of the trend. And it kind of looks like, oh, it's still continuing its uptrend. It still looks kind of bullish. That's an interesting way to look at it, because if you don't include this as artificial and you kind of pull it back, let's say like this, because the Fed made it sell off at that point, so you kind of have maybe a more accurate look, it might already be getting into this slow growth here. So in this case, we kind of discount some of the overreaction of that sell-off, and then you also discount some of the Fed announcement saying there was going to be less interest rate cuts this year. That's why the market dropped. And then you start to see this trend develop. Maybe this could be the true value trend. Maybe that growth isn't going to be as exponentially boom, especially after getting a lot of institutional investors into the quantum computing company. But now you see that if this is the case, maybe we start to see this development swinging on this rising support between $12 and $16, and then $13 and $18, and we start to see a trend develop. So that's what I'm going to be watching. Of course, we could see it sell down. It's been holding this support here, but that will be some of the technicals. If you guys haven't checked out Rigetti stock, they're available on AWS, so you can invest or you can use the company. We're going to see how much money they're making. One of the indicators you could see for any company is the market growing. The quantum computing market is expected to grow by a tremendous amount, up to in the trillions of dollars, according to Microsoft and IBM. And just right now, they're around $100 to $150 billion market cap. But here's where it gets interesting. If you look at something happened today. It was teleportation. Apparently, Oxford scientists achieve a teleportation with quantum supercomputers. This is from the independent.uk. There was some other reports directly from Oxford. Previous demonstrations of quantum teleportation have focused on transferring quantum states between physically separated systems. In our study, we use quantum teleportation to create interactions between these distant systems. By carefully tailoring these interactions, we can perform logical quantum gates, the fundamental operations of quantum computing, between qubits housed in separate quantum computers. Okay, this breakthrough enables us to effectively wire together distinct quantum processors into a single, fully connected quantum computer. So that's kind of the idea with quantum computers, is why they're able to operate down on the ionic level or down to the like the electrons, and why they can outperform classical computers in the sense of calculating things down to the electron, because it's just such high frequency, such massive amount of computing power needed. And so, but in that, the way that they're designed, I mean, think about like your LED on your phone, and I turn this on. If you would have asked somebody, hey, there's a light that you can touch and when you touch it, you don't get burned. They like if you ask somebody 100 years ago, they would think you're crazy, right? But why do we have that? It's because of quantum technology. And so some of the things that play into Rigetti, this Oxford article is interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because if you head over to Rigetti's website, and you can look at their quantum computer, look at how they work and stuff. This is interesting. They have partnerships with NASA, distribution through AWS, so you can use the quantum computer through the cloud. But look at that. Oxford Instruments is one of their technology partners. So you have to ask yourself, is this any way linked to the Rigetti company? Oxford is the company that just had this report that is tremendous. People are like, Oxford doesn't have a stock. How do you invest in them? What's the technology? Hey, those same people are also technology partners with Rigetti. So that's interesting. I think the same thing could be true possibly with IBM. You got to look into the company or look into Oxford more. But I do know that IBM just reported $1 billion in revenue, and that was in their recent earnings. And on top of that, when we get into Rigetti stock financials, that kind of brings us around. So we just went through technicals, we went through news, fundamentals, and now we're going through some of the financials. And we start off with the market. So the market growth. So those are our three ways we go through the market. Then we go through analysis. Those three pieces we're going through here. And then now we're going to go into the plan of what we could see here in the future for Rigetti. So you see the market cap's at 3 billion. If we head over to financials, you're buying what could be. And we said that before. The EPS has missed. The revenue has missed. Their year-over-year net income's up 33%. So that's good to see. If you go to quarter, their year-over-year income is, or net income is increasing. Basically, every quarter you could look at it increasing. So that's good. The revenue there was a little better. You could see some of their numbers. Not terrible, but still a negative net income overall. It's improving, but it's negative. Same thing with the profit margins. And that comes down to seeing their next earnings, how well they're plugging into these businesses through AWS, Microsoft, and Google Cloud, and how that's going to play into their financials could be massive catalysts. But I do think that Oxford thing is going to be big as well. So what we're looking for here is potentially going to be, see a little overextension on the RSI, little overextension on the MACD. So possibly a little bit of a sell-off down here to this EMA before continuing up. I would imagine that we're going to see possibly a bounce as this bounce continue, is that even a word? Continue up to $14.50. But we're going to manage risk and watch it closely. We like the long-term hold of Rigetti. It's a great stock to be trading. This consolidation pattern has been consistent. See if any opportunities present themselves at market open as well, like they did this morning. If you guys would like to join me, watch me trade live each and every day at market open. We go live at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. If you want to also work on getting up earlier, unless you're on the East Coast or something like that, it really doesn't matter. But we go into the technicals, the fundamentals, options, stocks, and you get to surround yourself with other traders and investors. And we have a sale right now where you can still get lifetime access for StockMate. It's that second link down below. In the future, we're most likely going to be transitioning to more yearly and less lifetime access, as it does require an ongoing support. You get a t-shirt with lifetime access for free, but you also get me working with you continually, which is pretty ongoing. But right now you can get lifetime access to StockMate in the second link below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If I earned your thumbs up, smash that like button. Appreciate you all. Do consider subscribing if you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.